I don't know who listened to that. I promise you it wasn't me, but it's unreleased, so you guys will never know until now. Honestly, I didn't know if I still had it. Like, I was Okay, let's do this. We're on a good roll. Hello, this is your boy Ricky2ra. Welcome back to the Ricky2ra Podcast, episode 62. I couldn't believe it, actually, that we recorded last week's episode on episode 60, but here we are, guys. And I'm quite excited about this. You know, it does get exciting for me, you know, when I hit that record button and I do something like this. So yeah, I appreciate it. And as you guys know from last week's episode, I actually did find my password for Anchor, and I managed to upload everything. I managed to upload everything on YouTube as well. So I appreciate, yes, you right there. I appreciate you for watching this episode and listening. Even if you listen to, like, I don't know, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 minutes, I don't care, as long as you listen to something. And if you took something away, even better. But I just appreciate for anybody that was watching. Thank you really. I'm gonna start this episode off a little bit differently. I may have done this in the past, actually, I can't remember, but I'm gonna start off with a couple of shout-outs. First, I'm going to do a shout-out here, then I'm going to do a shout-out at the end as well, because I was actually quite intrigued when I went on my Anchor account, and I'm just going to get my phone out here and just let you guys know what I'm talking about, because, and guys, sorry, my goal is to not say as well, so I'm really sorry when I'm just going to fill in sentences. I'm going to get better at it. So, I went onto my Anchor account, and my last episode, so not the one before this, the one actually before, it was called Not Creating Content. On podcast platforms altogether, I got 118 listens. I don't know who listened to that. I promise you it wasn't me clicking 118 times. But I really appreciate that. So shoutouts to everybody. If you've come back here, or if you've not listened to that before, make sure to give it a listen. But I appreciate to everyone for listening to that. 118 plays. I don't know if bots can do that, but if they did, then it must have been a good episode to click on. But if there were actual humans that did listen to that, I really, and I mean really, appreciate it. But this is what I really wanted to do. So I'm going on my analytics, and I'm just going on the countries of who's listening to this, who's the audience for this. And I don't know how accurate it is, but it seems to be here, so I'm going to say it. So when I click on my audience on my Anchor account, it tells me all the locations, all the countries. On desktop it tells you actual cities as well, so I'm going to make sure next time to get the cities down, but I can only see the countries here for now. So I'm going to shout out all of y'all in the past, because this is based on the past. It's not from the last episode. This is just me recently discovering that this is from my podcast, and I can't believe it, to be fair. So my largest demographic, or even geographical location of listeners, the largest one with 71% is the US. So if you do happen to stumble upon me from the US, shout outs to all of you. And I believe from my from the online desktop view, Ohio, I want to say, is the highest percentage city in America that listens to this. So shout outs to you, Ohio. But US in general, shout outs to you. And then coming under that with a 14% is the UK. So shout outs to all of you. I know the odd few listeners that listen to this in the UK as well, so shout outs to you. Or if you're watching on YouTube, I know there's a UK gang there as well, so shout outs to you. And then under UK with 11% is Germany. Then under that 2% is Ireland. Under 1%, I'm just going to shout them all out: Pakistan, France, Turkey, Australia, Denmark, Nigeria, Finland, Canada, El Salvador, I hope I said that right, Portugal, Jersey and Belgium. So shout outs to each and every one of you. And it seems that my age demographic is 35 to 44 with 50%. So shout outs to all you 35 to 44 year olds. If that's not true, under that is 28 to 34, and then 23 to 27, and then 18 to 22 seem to be the second highest. So shout outs to all of you right there. Now this is what really like put a smile on my face. Even before I recorded last week's episode, I got over 1,000 plays in total from my first 59 episodes, excluding last week's episode. So I really appreciate anyone that's listened on podcasts or watched on YouTube from day one, or if you just stumbled upon it recently, or if this is your first episode, I really do appreciate it. But I don't forget stuff like that. For where people listen and stuff, and obviously I had not checked it in such a long time, so it really did put a smile on my face when I did open my Anchor account and it said I have over 1,000 plays and listens. So I really do appreciate that. It means that maybe I did do something right last time and I should have just carried on. But if you don't know why I didn't, check the last episode out. Where have I been? And before I recorded this episode, I realised I was looking through a few past video titles. I did actually title one other video called Where Have I Been, and I can't remember what I said in that, but yeah, there's 2 episode titles with Where Have I Been as well. So I believe that episode were in like the 40s, I can't remember. But yeah, so as you can tell on the title of this video, my first gig after 2020, and I cut my podcast off in May 2021, so I never really got to talk about this. And I believe I did actually record a podcast episode that was unreleased, like I said in the last episode, that I do have like at least 10 minimum unreleased podcast episodes. Will I be releasing them? I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch them back because honestly I can't remember, and I felt like I was just mourning in half of them, but I can't actually remember what I said. But I do know in one of them I did talk about this topic, but it's unreleased, so you guys will never know until now. So I'm going to take you guys back to 2021, so just rewind your headset for a second and go back to September 2021. So we're in September 2023 now, so just go back 2 years. What you guys doing in 2 years? Well, 2 years ago. So I got a gig at Full Neck Golf Club. So shout outs to anybody that knows Full Neck Golf Club. And I got booked there for a wedding. And this was after lockdown. So this was like where people were really excited just to get back out, socialise, everything like that. And I was excited as well. And bearing in mind, I was very nervous because the last gig I'd done prior to that was in December 2019. So I didn't have any gigs in 2020. And obviously for the first half of 2021. So my first gig after like a year and a half, longer than that, it was scary to me. And honestly, I didn't know if I still had it. Like I was practicing a lot before the actual event happened. And I'm just recollecting, guys, because I got no notes for this. I just really wanted to talk about this. I felt like this was a good point to talk about after last week's episode. And I didn't know how it was going to go. And I was nervous. However, everyone was in the same position. It was after lockdown, and I felt like everybody just wanted to see something. Like they all socialised with each other, which was something to get like back in action, like very new again, because we hadn't been socialising with anybody else. And to see a magician pull up, that was like the best thing ever. So I felt like it had such a great response for when I was performing. And after the first effect or magic trick I performed, I felt like everything had gone back to normal. I felt like everything had just fell back into place prior to 2020, and everything would just like reset itself, and it felt awesome. And I remember I came up, I remember I got a suit from Marks and Spencer's like a couple of days from before, because I grew out of my suits, and you would have known why from last week's episode. But so yeah, I had to get a new suit, and then I pulled up, bow tie, everything, and just absolutely killed it like nothing had happened. And I really enjoyed it. The crowd were great, and I felt like that was even better, because sometimes when people give you a hard time, you can jump out of it. Like I've been there, I've done that, and I'm still going through it with future gigs, if there's anybody like hecklers or anything like that. However, with this, it was such a great crowd, and I felt like because everybody had just got out of the house, like they just wanted to enjoy themselves, and I felt like that was a major part to play. So everybody enjoyed it, and I remember just looking at the reactions on everybody's faces, and it was like, yeah, this is what I've missed. And I remember making a podcast episode called Why Small Gigs Are the Best, or something like that, and this is why. It was a small event. You're talking about maybe like 50 to 60, probably maximum 80 people. I'm used to doing maybe 200, 400 plus. But this was nice to just get back in action. And yeah, I felt like that was probably one of my best gigs from coming back from 2020. So that right there was it was something special at that moment of time for me. And there was a lot of things that I was rusty on. However, I kept my set list small, meaning that I could repeat it many times to different people in order to shake that rust off. And it didn't take long really for me to shake it off. And I'm just trying to recollect a few other things. A lot of people like had banter, and honestly it just felt like nothing had happened. Like everybody's mind were off what happened a couple of years back, and it just felt like everything had just got back to the good old days. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you guys have been you guys have probably been in a similar situation where it's like lockdown, and then you got out, and then do you remember like your first event or like social event you went back to, and it was like, oh my god, this is such a great feeling, and your mind was just taken off everything else, and you felt like nothing else had happened. You just like back in action, like nothing had happened. That's exactly how I felt. And yeah, I loved it. It was great. I remember I wore the grey suit, I pulled up, grey suit, red bow tie, pulled up, and everybody were looking at me because I was like the only brown dude there anyway. But just like that, got the pack of cards out. I think as soon as you get the pack of cards out, people know then. I feel like when you turn up to a gig, and it's like, especially a wedding, and you kind of know your whole family, and maybe the groom's or bride's family, like you've seen the faces before, but like a brown dude pulls in, it's like, okay, what's going on? And then when you pull out the playing cards, it's like, oh, do you know what I mean? So yeah. By the way, this was not an Asian event. Just telling you that right now. That's why I'm bringing up the whole brown thing, because I was the only brown dude there. However, it was nice because the groom introduced me first of all to his wife. Amazing couple, by the way, and introduced me to a few people. That really does help as well when you don't know anybody. Normally, sometimes I just pull up to the closest group that I feel like is going to have a good reaction, and I start from there. But it was really lovely of the groom to introduce me to his missus and a few other family members to get myself, to start off, and it went well. Any of the musicians listening, I did Invisible Deck, and yeah, it just kind of just started off from there, and I went round and round, and there was really nice people, really nice reactions, and it honestly, if I could do it again, I would, just to get that feeling back from not performing for such a long time. And that's just made me go into a different subject that I might talk about in a future podcast episode. Will I be doing gigs again? Gonna have to find out next time on that one. But yeah, that was probably my first gig in a long time, and I really wanted to talk about that. Key reason being is because when you haven't done something for such a long time and you can't do it because of everything that's going on in the world and you can't actually go out, it really does make you think, will I ever be doing this again? Because a lot of people during that whole period from 2020 to 2021, 22, they lost their jobs, changed profession, lifestyle changes, maybe changing city, country, whatever. And it makes you think that, for me, I went through this route of social media / podcasting, and I didn't really do much magic. I know I did like the £5 munch video where it went to, I did a little bit of magic at the beginning, but it kind of made me think, will I be doing magic? I know I had the shop and we were lucky that, we were one of the lucky businesses that were open during that time. But it does make you think, well, do I need to change profession? Because I did one online gig, and I'm pretty sure I did talk about that. But it didn't feel the same. Like, obviously it was great, but it didn't feel the same as what I'm talking about now. And it makes you think, would I be doing magic again? And when I pulled up to the venue and just started off just showing magic, it kind of did put in my mind like, yep, well, we're getting the ball rolling again, and the magic is definitely coming back. Even from my last episode when I said, will the magic be coming back? I'm in a good place with magic, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little story. It's something that was in my mind, and I didn't make any notes on it because I just wanted my just raw thoughts to come out. I promise you I will be making notes, so it's a bit more structured out. I know I did go off on a few tangents here and there, but I felt like this was, if I was to talk about something after last week's episode, this was the number one thing on the list. And yeah, so if you guys have any stories, if you've got, like, after 2020 when you could go out and socialise and stuff like that, what was your first event or social circle or first thing you did? Did you go to a wedding? Did you go to a party? Did you just meet up with mates? Or what did you do? I'm talking about out of the house situations. And yeah, shout outs to all the magicians, man, because a lot of magicians would have stopped, and I'm pretty sure, I can't think of anybody now, I'm pretty sure a lot of magicians would have stopped and gone through a new profession. And maybe some magicians adapted, and I know a lot of magicians that adapted and then have gone back to performing full time now. So shout outs to everybody, even if you have changed professions, or if you haven't, or if you were just waiting for everything to just blow over and then continue. Shout outs to all of you, man, because it was a hard period for everybody, but for everybody that adapted and went through something different, shout outs to all of you, because we all had to transition in some sort of way and adapt. And I feel like it's kind of got us to do something a bit new, because I felt like maybe this podcast wouldn't have existed if that didn't happen, if you know what I mean, and I wouldn't be sat here talking about it now. So yeah, that's my first ever gig back from 2020, guys. I hope you enjoyed that little story right there. Now, I did say, if you're still watching, by the way, like the video. You've come this far. How many minutes are we in? We're in 18 minutes in. Come on. If you've come this far, like the video. I'm not asking you to subscribe. Just like the video. It just shows me that, there's someone out there that actually likes the video. But I did say at the beginning of this episode, I was going to do a couple of shout-outs. I did the countries, and I'm going to do a shout-out right now. And if you're watching this, shout-outs to Tashar. I have shouted him out previously in a very, very early episode, and I did say in the last episode, if anybody's got the balls to to comment, let me know what you think, and he definitely did. And I did ask as well in that episode last week if you preferred more of the shop content, like me doing this in the shop, or if you wanted me back in my bedroom. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look at my past couple of videos that are not in the shop, you'll know what I mean. But yeah, he said more in the shop will do, and I said say no more. So shout out to you, Tasha, if you're watching this. Thank you for watching. last week's episode, and thank you for watching today's if you've come this far as well. And yeah, I think I'm going to call it a day here, guys. I'm liking this. I'm liking this vibe, and I'm definitely going to do a lot more podcasts in the shop. Maybe I might switch up the angles, but I'm going to stay here for now, and I might find maybe a different location in the shop as well for maybe sometime in the future. However, guys, thank you so much for watching this episode 61. Before I go, because I didn't realise that last week's episode was episode 60, I'm going to try and go to 100. That's right, 100 podcast episodes, because this feels like episode 2 to me again, even though this is the 61st episode, because I haven't done it in such a long time. So this kind of feels like episode 2 for me, but it's the 61st episode. But we're going to go to 100 episodes, and we're going to just see what happens. I don't know what I'm going to talk about next week. I don't know what I'm going to talk about in the 80th, 90th, 100th episode, but that's a little goal for me. I'm going to go to 100 podcast episodes. I'm going to see what happens. And it's just something cool. I can say, like, yo, I've done a podcast and I've done 100 episodes. Like, how? I don't know. To me, it sounds cool. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. And thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, rate, subscribe, review, do all them things. And I will see you in next week's episode. That's right. We're coming back next week. So, guys, have a great day or night, wherever you are. This has been your boy, Ricky2ra. Peace.